Hi, welcome to Understand TAE's Question of the Week. I am Lauren Hollows, the director, and this week we are finishing up our last week on the TAS, the Training and Assessment Strategy. So we have already covered the amount of training, and we've covered how you should be consulting with your staff to actually determine how the TAS is actually developed and delivered. And in this week, we're just going to cover off a couple of really common non-compliances that always happen when we come around and start looking at TASs. So there's probably three key areas that we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at duration, sequence, and delivery mode. So duration, how long does the course actually go for? Sequence is when are the units actually delivered? And the delivery mode, so is it face-to-face, is it existing in the workplace, is it, those sorts of things. And what we find is that a lot of us use templates. I use templates in most of the businesses that I work with. We have kind of a standard template that we use for a TAS, and that's fine, but we don't actually check it, and because we're not using it often enough as a live document, not enough people are checking it. And so if you've only got one person working with a TAS, it's really easy to skip something over. And so when we then go and put them up for audit, what happens is that a lot of the times I get called in because auditors have found that it says one thing here where it says something different here, or the TAS doesn't line up to like a delivery plan, or it doesn't line up to what's on the marketing website or what's on the students' training plans. So what we want to make sure is that we've really got that consistency there and a lot of clarity as to how we actually go about providing it. So when you provide your TAS to your trainer, or when you provide it with your marketing officer and you sit down, the first thing you're asking yourself as a CEO is, well, does this actually explain to me how we run the course? And if you're looking at it and you're going, well, I don't really, I don't understand, it's got this here, it's got this here, it's got this here, then those are really good questions that you should be asking, but also that your auditors will probably ask of you as well. Another one is that it's too generic. So we'll often get it that you've got, people will have one TAS for the course that they deliver, but they've got about 4 different modes in which they actually deliver it to. So if you're delivering it to international students or domestic students, your TASs should differ. Different cohorts mean different TASs. If you're delivering online versus in the workplace versus face-to-face classrooms, again, you might have different TASs breaking down those different deliveries. Essentially, it's, as we said, you don't want to have like one TAS and then, you've got your compliance document TAS, and then you've got all of these operational documents, which tells you how to actually run the course. So the TAS is the document that tells you how to run the course, and what you want to make sure is that that's ultimately the purpose of how it's being built. And if it hasn't been built that way, if it hasn't been built to be functional, if it's only been built from the point of view of compliance, then it's probably not going to be ticking all of the boxes, because I generally find that in order to tick the boxes from a compliance perspective, there's a couple of extra things that will need to go into it in order to make it work from a operational perspective. So when we have our TAS request forms, we include financial viability information on there to make sure that we know the number of the cohort and the cost that it's going to be, so that we can run it in a financially viable way. You might not want to include that information, but it's those sorts of things that it's got to be that combination of operational and compliance sense. So some of the things that you want to be hearing, that you want to be seeing when you're doing a check yourself, you want to be able to read it, make sure it's really clear that you go, yep, that's how we're delivering the course, that's great, that's who we're delivering it to, that's where we're delivering it, and that's why we're delivering it. You also want to make sure that your trainers understand that as well. So they should be able to pick up that document and go, right, this is how we deliver it. And then you want to be able to check it for consistency. So detail-oriented, you will have detail-oriented staff in your business. This is a great job for them. Hopefully they're your compliance staff too. But if your compliance staff have written it, then get somebody else to go over and do another check as well, because it's just one of those things that consistency is very often what gets picked up in TASs, that they get pulled apart and it turns out that you've got something in one spot. So make sure that you've got that duration correct. If you say you deliver it in 12 months, everything should show a duration over 12 months. If you are saying that you deliver it primarily in the workplace with some online support and maybe a couple of classes, make sure that that's then reflected throughout the whole document as well. and make sure that it's, you know, very clear the cohort that you're delivering it to. Try to stay away from like too overly generic statements. You are going to have template pieces in there. You know, you'll have supporting statements and stuff like that, but ultimately you want this to be a Bible for how you run your courses. So hopefully you found these 3 sessions helpful. We're going to go on to professional development of staff next week. So I hope you'll join me then. Thank you very much. This is Understand TAE's Question of the Week.